It begins with day 1. A man named Ron records the outside of his secluded house. He says this is the gorgeous land they call their home and says good morning to all the critters there. In 2 days, they will have the most epic anniversary party. But now he is about to surprise his wife with an early anniversary gift. Before she joins him, he sets down his camera while it keeps recording. Once she enters the balcony, the couple hugs. We see they might be in the beginning of their older years. He tells his wife Jan that he bought them an early anniversary gift. Ron points to it, and she sees it's the camera. He also gives her a small package, prompting her to say that good things come in packages of such size. Opening it, Jan takes out glasses that she says are big. He says the reason for that is they are video glasses. They record like the camera does. Their new devices have night vision plus an abundance of memory. The couple speaks very affectionately to each other, and we can infer they shared many happy years. Ron tells her that no matter what she does, she should not stop recording because who knows what they might capture. Then they walk inside their house, where Jan finds a portrait in a box. It is a photo of Ron's father. He takes out a toy owl, saying it's one of his father's beloved childhood toys. He can't believe it has been over 10 years since his dad passed away. Jan thinks the toy is creepy, which reminds him of something his dad always said. The man thought owls were not natural, meaning they came from somewhere other than this world. He goes to the balcony to place another owl figure on the ledge. Afterward, he walks outside until he enters an outhouse to collect an axe. Suddenly, a loud sound scares him, causing profanity to exit his mouth. He runs out to search for what made the sound. Looking at the roof, he sees nothing there. Ron says it's not windy, so it wasn't the branches of the trees that did that. He is confused regarding what that was. As he walks back, the man doesn't know what is going on, and he does not like it. He says Jan is unaware of it. He tends to keep it this way due to not wanting anything to ruin her party. When he arrives at the area where lumber gets chopped, the camera glitches for an unknown reason. He sets it down to record himself doing the chopping. In the meantime, Jan is recording with her glasses how she's chopping strawberries. Soon we see Ron has chopped many blocks of lumber. During this time, a bizarre event takes place. His phone tells him he's getting a call from his dad. As Ron takes it, the owl toy near Jan activates, and she gets scared. Ron asks the caller if he is truly his father, without answering him. The caller says he doesn't have much time. Ron asks how this is possible. The caller knows it does not make sense. He tells Ron he loves him, before he says that it's important that Ron does not do something. We don't hear what it is because static gets in the way. He tells Ron good luck, and the phone call ends. Then Ron returns home, where Jan informs him the toy owl scared her with its sudden activation. He apologizes for it. She wants them to put it away for some time. Thus, he obeys her. He says he overdid it while he was chopping wood. The next scene has him drinking a beer on the balcony. Jan says she didn't sleep that well last night and is kind of tired. She wants him to wake her up from her nap in 1 hour. Left alone, Ron records himself sitting on the balcony. He asks himself if he is losing his mind. Was the man on the phone really his father? Realizing he's being recorded, he says he will have to edit this prior to showing it to Jan. Moving along, he starts to read his dad's comics. The first one has an owl on the front cover. His father's obsession with owls shows in his belongings. Ron decides to turn off the camera as he reads it. After he turns it back on, he goes inside for another beer. He says the comic was exhausting. We see the time as 4:20. Once he tries to touch the refrigerator handle, something like an electric shock seems to seize him. Instantly, Jan comes to him and says he forgot to wake her up. Now the time shows 7:20, exactly 3 hours more than what it was mere seconds ago. Ron says he lost track of time. It seems like not only did the shock steal 3 hours of his life, but it also altered his mind for him to be unaware of it. He tells Jan he will get the barbecue fired up right away. Following this, he records himself grilling at the barbecue. Jan looks ahead and sees a blue dot moving in the sky. When it vanishes, she tells her husband about it. Ron thinks it might just be a lens flare. He hears they are rather common. Soon he asks her if he told her how gorgeous she is today. She tells him not to stop saying it. At night, we see the couple has already eaten. Ron proposes they go to the fire pit, so they start to drive there. Jan says it's creepy in the dark. Her husband agrees, yet he says they are safe in the vehicle. They arrive at the fire pit, and he tells her to imagine all the fun they are going to have there for 2 nights. He thinks it will be a night to remember, which she agrees with. The couple simply want to look at it. When they do, they start driving back to their home. Seeing all the wood he chopped, Jan compliments him for it. He says the barn is creepy at night. However, he would have been utterly scared if he saw what we did. A dark being with bright red eyes. Back at their balcony, They have a drink and a smoke. From a distance, they hear the loud hoot of an owl. Jan tells him she had a strange dream during her nap today. In it, Ron was with her, but they weren't themselves. They were like evil witches in their bedroom. She says she will have a good sleep tonight. He says he loves her, and she says the same to him. Once the light turns off, the camera flickers. Scarily, the being with the red eyes stands behind their door. It closes its eyes, perhaps not to have their light seen. Soon Ron turns off the camera. Later, it turns on by itself, and a ghostly voice says Ron's name. It wakes him up, and he tries to wake up his wife. She doesn't, so he goes outside. He walks out there, hearing his name called again. He is using the night vision on his camera. He's lucky he has it, or it would have been too dark to see anything. Ron calls out to whoever might be there. He gets very scared upon hearing his name a third time. "This isn't funny," he yells. The man threatens to call the police on whoever is scaring him. The voice tells him to come closer, and now Ron thinks it could be his dad. Regardless of who it is, there is no way he wants to get closer. Then Jan surprises him from behind. He says he heard something, which is why he's out there. She wants them to go back to bed because she thinks it was a deer he heard. He very likely does not want to tell her that he heard his name called a few times. On the second day, Ron says he's sorry about last night. Jan says she went into a deep sleep after their night walk. Ron tells her he did too. He wants to clean the fire pit area, and she wants to take it easy today. He shows her a comfortable chair near a tree he set up for her. Moving along, we see their cat, Fuzzy. When it runs away, a frightening sound occurs. What's even scarier is that Fuzzy instantly returns to the exact position Ron first saw it in. As he walks outside, he profanely asks himself what is going on. He thinks it could have been a glitch in the camera. He also mentions missing those 3 hours only now, meaning he was aware of it. Ron repeats he is losing his mind, but he changes the topic to say they are going to have a blast. He puts a shovel into a wheelbarrow and goes to the fire pit with them. Once he is there, he sets the camera down to say that in a few seconds, there will be a transformation behind him. Thus, he turns it off before he turns it back on after an uncertain amount of time. We see he has modified the fire pit. Ron says tomorrow, everyone will be there waiting for them. At night, Jan asks him if he left the barn light on. He looks over there and sees it is on. Oddly, it turns off by itself in almost no time. The man says he will have to deal with whatever it is tomorrow. On the third day, the couple's anniversary arrives. They congratulate each other with this special day. Jan says she loves him and is very excited for the party tonight. He tells her the fire is set up to roar. He also says after tonight, she won't have to see the toy owl, which she is happy to hear. Then Ron's mother calls him. She gives the bad news that she has the flu, meaning she won't attend their party. The good news is that Ron will take plenty of videos for her to see it. The moment the phone call ends, the couple becomes startled by the sudden activation of the owl. Ron says he will have to get it fixed. Jan asks him if he finds it strange that his mother still talks about his dad like he is still there. He says she always talks like that. All he knows is it comforts her, and he doesn't try to change it. Soon he turns off the camera, only to turn it back on when he's grilling patties. He waves to 2 people walking below in the distance. They are there for the party. During this time, Ron decides to tell Jan about the phone call he received from his father's phone. He says it was a prank call, and he won't let it affect tonight. Jan says it is awful. At night, the couple walks to the fire pit. She tells him not to be that guy tonight. He replies he will take it easy with his consumption. But what she meant was for him not to be the guy who is constantly holding the camera. To that, Ron says he will certainly be that guy. Before their night begins, he wants her to know he loves her just as much now as he did 25 years ago when they first met. She is his everything forever, he adds. Looking to the side, they witness the fire light up, and a group of people close to it cheer for them. Jan rushes to greet the crowd in amazement. We see the impressive fire burn high. The people wish them a happy anniversary. Ron walks over to a memorial of his father to say he loves him. Jan says it's too bad he can't be there along with Ron's mom. Then he announces to the crowd that his mom wanted his dad there, so he included his photo and his toy owl. Moving forward, the couple thanks everyone for attending the party. In a short time, the owl activates again, surprising the people. Ron informs them it is simply the toy, and it's been acting strangely. Following this, Ron returns home to charge his wife's video glasses. In the darkness, we see the red eyes of the being light up. We wonder what it is. Once Ron rejoins the party, the fire gets fed by having a block pallet thrown into it. Soon everyone starts to play drums. One man talks to the camera, saying he loves the couple. He was at their wedding, and he is there today. He hopes to be there at the end too. Another guy congratulates them for their many years of being together. He says he wasn't able to find someone who could tolerate him for even 1 year. Ron tells Jan he needs to use the washer. Therefore, he walks away from the party while using his night vision. Looking at the sky, he sees a circular light floating around like Jan saw earlier. It doesn't take long for it to vanish. When he's back at the party, Jan says she is going home to collect her video glasses because they should be charged. We see the red eyes again in the darkness. As time passes, Ron says she is taking too long, making him go check on her. She decides to scare him by coming out of the bushes. Although he did not like it, he doesn't get angry. They return to the crowd and hear someone play on a whistle. Jan wants to perform on her whistle too, so Ron announces they will have a whistling competition. We watch how the two ladies whistle on the instruments around the fire. Once they are done, Ron tells them they were awesome. Jan would be embarrassed if anyone else saw her do it. Ron assures her it's just for family and friends. Suddenly, they hear something in the bushes. A lady asks what that was. Ron tells her it's probably a coyote, for they are all over the place. To ease her, he says they are more scared of people than people are of them. Eventually, the party reaches its conclusion and the visitors leave. Jan thanks her husband for the most wonderful night. He tells her he can finally say they pulled it off. The man is delighted with the night they had. During this peaceful moment, the toy owl goes off, prompting Ron to spew profanity. The couple realizes the owl is not on Ron's father's memorial. Ron wants to find it due to it being precious to him. Thus, they start to search in the grass. As they do, Ron falls, but he says he's okay. Soon they arrive at a place where they think the owl is. Since the place is scary at night, Jan wants to find the toy quickly. Being a caring husband, Ron says he will protect her. When the toy activates, Ron says it's now coming from a different location. He expresses his confusion. The couple searches for it in the darkness, and the atmosphere is frightening. They manage to find it in a random location, which amazes Ron. Collecting it, he gives it to Jan for her to put it in her pocket. She wonders how they will get home. Ron claims to know the way back. Suddenly, his camera turns off and Jan tells him to stop messing around. Yet he says it shut off on its own. In a few seconds, they hear a loud shriek. Ron wonders if that was an owl. If it was no owl Jan had ever heard of. The situation has escalated to the point where both of them firmly want to get out of there. While they walk, the toy goes off, but somehow it's not in Jan's pocket. Again, Ron has to say he does not understand what is going on. He insists they collect the toy. As they search, the atmosphere is even scarier because of what the couple heard recently. Ron picks a direction for them to walk in that he thinks looks promising. It leads them to a very bizarre occurrence. They encounter a man who looks like Ron's father. He simply stands there, eerily pointing to his left. Then the most bizarre moment of all takes place. Two alien creatures appear near the dad. Of course, this injects them with fear and Ron urges Jan to run. He sees one of the aliens crawling toward him. After they run for a short time, Jan says she needs to stop. Strangely, Ron is still recording with his camera in such an inexplicably scary time. Jan wonders what were those creatures they saw. Ron tells her he wasn't honest. There have been odd things going on, and he didn't want to tell her. She says she loves him no matter what. When they start running, he tells her he's lost all sense of direction. However, he still wishes her a happy anniversary. Soon they hear the terrifying shriek again. Alien hands emerge from behind the trees, scaring Jan to the point of her saying she can't continue. Yet Ron gets her to go. In a different area, he sees a tree with boots. It looks like the tree has legs going into them. For a brief moment, something behind the tree moves that looks like it could have been wings. Following this, eyebrows rise and a huge head turns around to reveal that the tree is actually a huge owl. It flaps its wings, scaring Ron immensely. The owl transforms into one of the aliens. In the meantime, the couple runs until Jan needs to rest. Their flashlight lies on the ground, pointing in a direction that shows them the toy owl on a tree stump. Ron has to get it, and his wife wants to do it with him. As they approach it, some sort of force field grabs a hold of them. It vanishes with them in a few seconds. Then we see a place where two aliens float. Another appears to say they must continue their mission. Returning to the woods, we observe the toy owl continuing to stand on the tree stump. The blue light comes back to place Jan's video glasses beside it. The toy activates and stops. Where the couple was taken, as well as what will happen to them, is a huge mystery left for others to attempt to solve.